Hello there. My name is Ian, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I'm joined by two very special guests. Cody Brockway from Brockway's Vinyl Bites, who you may know from his YouTube channel, his various radio shows that he does on Deep Nuggets. And what was the other channel that you're on?
I actually do a joint show over on Prog Radio every Thursday at noon.
And Prog Radio,
with
as
Tara.
well as
With Tara.
with Tara, who's also now spinning Prog, who you may know. And you're also a record store owner, which is awesome.
Thank you very much. Second Chance Records at 20 Argyle Street North, Caledonia, Ontario.
Well, if you're ever up that way, you got to go check it out. And also,
can I share our website? Is that cool?
Absolutely, you can share your website.
Thank you very much. www.secondchancerecords.ca. We ship everywhere in the world, globally, of course, for $20 flat fee. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, not bad. Have you got a Discogs page too, or is it just through your website?
Just through our website so far.
Sweet. Okay.
I'll shut up.
Joining me from immersiveaudioalbum.com is Jonathan Cornell, who's also a first-time guest to the channel. Nice to meet you, Jonathan. Why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about what IAA does?
So IAA is like a online web store, kind of similar to Bandcamp or other sites that sell music downloads like, HD Tracks or Qobuz, but we sell albums in 5.1 and Dolby Atmos. So essentially what we can offer is, as a lot of people who watch your channel know, with Dolby Atmos music, generally your choices are either the streaming services, which is like a kind of lossy audio, and also you don't get to own the music, you just stream it. Right. Or there are some albums that come out on Blu-ray. So kind of what we've been trying to do is license some albums that where the Atmos mixes were done exclusively for streaming services and offer them as these high quality downloads.
Yeah.
So when you buy an album from the site, it comes in a format called an MKV download, and it has the same Dolby True HD high-res audio as you would get on a Blu-ray disc. So it's an exciting space. I think it's a good way to release some albums as high-quality versions where a Blu-ray wouldn't necessarily be feasible, certainly for some smaller albums and indie artists.
Yeah, very, very cool. Yeah, when I saw you interviewed on Life and Surround, I was just so fascinated because I don't think I fully understood what immersiveaudioalbum.com was. But now that I've watched that interview, I thought, oh man, I got to go check that out. So I'm hoping that one of these days I might pick up a few of those releases. So today we're going to be talking about our favorite multi-channel mixes of all time. And that includes, in my case, one Quadio title, although I don't think you gentlemen have picked any Quadio, but also 5.1 as well as Dolby Atmos. And to get underway quickly, I'm going to let Cody present his list. So take it away, Cody.
Well, I'm going to start us off. Most of my list leans towards the Dolby Atmos side of things. I've always been a 5.1 surround sound nut, but then when I kind of found out that Dolby Atmos was a thing a couple of years ago, and the fact that my system actually was enabled for it, it's like, wow, okay, let's check this out. And then it immediately just blew my mind. And these records, all of them blew my mind in one way or another. This one is not Atmos. Of course, it is an SACD surround sound edition. So basically, like this version, like you could play this in your car. It would play as like a 2-channel stereo mix, but then you put it
if you have a CD player in your car.
Yeah.
A big if.
I got a 2020 F-150 and it came with no CD player. I'm like, hell with this. So I actually got like a little one of those that you can plug into it and it reads So anyway, you can play this in your vehicles if you have a CD player. You can play it on a regular stereo system, or you can play it on your DVD player if it will decode SACD discs. So I got the 5.1 mix of Captain Fantastic. I think this is just so cool how the disc has so many different layers so that you can play it in different players. It's really sweet. But when you put it on the DVD player, you get Elton John's voice in the middle, right? Just gorgeous, just totally like separated from everything else. So it really helps if there's like a certain lyric you couldn't understand, you could just sit by the center speaker and go, oh, okay.
Yeah, right. I was, it just reminds me, I don't mean to interrupt, but I was listening to a Rush surround mix recently, and I was like, where's Getty's voice coming from? And I put my head right next to the center speaker, and whoa, okay, all right. That actually hurt my ear a little bit.
and that's kind of how they do it. So then you have the band in the left and right and kind of traveling. I mean, my system, I have a Denon receiver that basically it has like the Oro 3D sort of three-dimensional surround sound. So you could make a good stereo mix sound like it's in surround sound.
Sure.
Obviously, it's kind of the cheater way of doing it. That's not really legitimate, right? But if you take a 5.1 mix, it kind of forces it to the upper channels as well, kind of giving you more of almost an Atmos experience, even with a regular 5.1 or 7.1 surround sound listen. And so that's kind of what this does here. So it's really cool, and just the way it's all spread out sounds awesome. Next up is a new album. And yeah, I told you we were going to be talking about Steven Wilson a little bit. Huge fan. I listened to this album actually so much yesterday in preparation for this. Once in the car, just, regular stereo. And then I came home and put this on. This is the Overview. Just came out a few months ago. It's a great album. I mean, is it the Raven or Hand Cannot Erase? No, but it's also not trying to be. So it's, you know what I mean? Randy McStein is just, he's happening.
Yes, he is.
He's one of the highlights of this record for me. But
that solo at the end of the first side, so cool. Yeah.
Oh, I know. Oh my God, I know. And it's unlike anything you've ever heard before. Like you can't really pinpoint and say, oh, that's a David Gilmour influence. Oh, that's an Alex Lifeson. It's something different, man.
Yeah, and his tone matches his technicality as a player too. Like he's capable of some amazing tones.
Yeah, and I mean, this guy Steven Wilson, he had Guthrie Govan and all these other great players play with him previously. So Randy McStein just fits in perfectly with that camp of great players. But obviously, this album, I picked it because of its surround sound extravaganza deal going on with the Dolby Atmos mix. Because it's a space rock album, it's everything's just things flying all around the room, vocals traveling all around, listening to the drums, and all of a sudden you're getting toms going on behind you and everything. So
I mean, it starts with the voice in the ceiling at the beginning, the falsetto vocal, just sort of like it's lost in space. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have the voice of God, unfortunately. I've only got I don't have the voice of God. I wish I had that overhead speaker, but my system is I'm not quite there yet, but I will be, I hope. But so all the vocals, including that one, got kind of pushed to the center speaker on my system. But it's just really cool. Just, like the way everything floats around. It's really sweet. And I think you got to meet Steven Wilson. Is that correct, Jonathan?
Yeah, I've interviewed him twice for my site.
Man, that is so cool.
Yeah, I'll send you guys those links so you can drop them in the description.
Yeah, that'll be in the description. Yeah. Very cool.
I'm envious. Like, I'm happy for you. Like, that's amazing. That's so cool. But yeah, the Overview. It's a good album. I like it more than the last one, the Harmony Codex, which was good. It also had a good Atmos mix. But this one, there's just something about this one, the kind of way that it has this marriage of this electronic side versus the Raven stuff.
Right. But, and I feel like Steven is making albums for the format, like the last two especially. It's like they're conceived for Dolby Atmos. Yeah.
Yeah, and 2 20-minute epics. Come on, man! It's 1972 all over again.
Yeah.
The next one is a live album, and I love the way that this was mixed because it is live. So you get the vocals in the front, you get the band in the left and right, and you get the audience in behind you. Genesis seconds out.
I need that, man.
It's hard to get. It's hard to get.
It is.
It was only released in those box sets, which Genesis are my favorite band, so I managed to get all of them. But it's quite the adventure trying to find those, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention,
to make it even more confusing, the box sets in the US, they're DVDs with surround, but the European ones have SA CDs. Those are even more desirable.
Yeah, and there's some ones that were released in certain parts of the world that were on PAL. or the NTSC versions that we have here. So basically, if you buy the wrong one, you can't play it anyway.
Yeah, unless you have a region free player, which I do. So
I think mine is.
I recommend it.
But yeah, it's just a great album. I mean, it's my favorite live album of all time, and
Nice.
just the way that it's mixed, they did a really good job of this. Seconds Out, Genesis.
By
Also,
the way, Cody did a great video yesterday about prog live albums.
oh yeah, thank
So
you. Yeah,
go check that out after this video.
yeah, that's on Brockways Vinyl Bites, and I really liked the live stream that you did the other day about the Jethro Tull box set.
Oh,
That was
thanks.
actually very informative. I don't have it yet, but I'm going to be getting it soon. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. So this sounds really awesome.
Yeah,
I was
you got to get it.
Portion of that I got to.
You're
watch.
talking about the Still Living in the Past.
Yeah,
set?
yeah.
Yeah, I did a review of it for my site too. It sounds great. Yeah.
It does. It exceeds expectations.
Another Steven Wilson mix.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be talking about many more.
Yeah. Well, I'll get on with the show here. This is not a Steven Wilson mix. I'm not sure who did this one, but I know it sounds amazing. So this was done back in 2005, when surround sound would have still been kind of coming out as a thing for home theaters and things like that. But someone from Hollywood Records went back and remixed Queen's Night at the Opera.
Ooh.
Well, I'll tell you who did it. Elliot Shiner, who's one of the best surround sound mixers. He did tons of great things, like the Eagles, Hotel California. He did Layla. So many. Yeah.
Okay. So that makes sense. I probably have more of his ones then. But he did a great job on this. It's absolutely fantastic. I mean, when you get to the Prophet song, that's the money shot right there.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Oh, so you guys have this mix?
I don't.
I have the DVD audio version, which has the same mix. But yeah.
This
I need
has
to get that.
This has the remastered CD and the DVD in it, so it's like, it's just kind of the whole package. But yeah, if you can get the DVD audio for this, it's absolutely fantastic. And just the way when you get to the Prophet song and the big vocal part in the middle, where like literally all the vocals are channeling, through different channels all around the room, some in the center, some in the back, some left and right. Then they switch and go like this. It's the coolest thing. Tara, when she came down, she only kind of knew Queen for some of the hits. So she's like, yeah, I like them a little bit, but I don't really know any of their albums. I'm like, okay, listen to this. And I put this on and surround sound. And she was like, oh my God, because you don't hear that on the radio. You know what I mean? You don't hear a lot of these songs. Even
it's funny because people think like Bohemian Rhapsody is the most complicated song of the album, but then you're like, there's another song on it that's actually even more complex.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like Bohemian Rhapsody and that and surround sound is awesome too. I mean, that's kind of like close to the edge in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
But we'll talk about Yes in a little bit. So yeah, Queen, Night at the Opera.
Yeah, I got to get that one. I love that album.
Yeah, you'll like this mix a lot. If I had an extra copy, I'd honestly send it to you because it's really good to have, but this is the only one I got.
It's all good, man.
Next up is, this one's an acquired taste. Not everyone likes this band, but the people that like them tend to really like them, and that is Vandergraaf Generator.
Oh, yeah.
This is Pawn
Great
Hearts.
mix. Great mix.
It is a great mix. It sounds awesome. And listening to A Plague of Lighthouse Keepers in 5.1, one thing that really freaked me out was how real the train sounds. About halfway through that, and you're hearing the saxophone, and it goes right by you. It's like, it's like I'm actually standing on like a train track about to get run over.
Yeah, when those discs came out, there was like a box set first, and then they did the standalones. I had like never heard anything by that band. So I picked up all 4 of them, and yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I know I've got the box set too, but I had bought this first, but it's like, okay, well, there's a different mix on the CD than there is in the box set. So it's like, I'm just going to keep both. Yeah. Well, that's quite the way, especially if you're working in immersive sound, that's quite the way to get introduced to them.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that Stephen W. Taylor did a lot to highlight the band's musicality. Mm-hmm. That hadn't been done before on previous issues. And another thing that I think he did was, see, Peter Hamill's voice, he tends to go from really quiet to like screaming in your face. And, back then it was harder to equalize those dynamic shifts. And I think that Taylor's probably going through separating bits of it out, turning it up, turning it down. And it means that, like in a lot of those older mixes, like Peter Hamill's voice could fall underneath the music at times, but here you can hear him on a consistent level throughout. So yeah, I think those are absolutely wonderful mixes.
Absolutely. And you know what, like you said about the box set, Jonathan, if you're a fan of Van der Graaf Generator, it is so worth to get that Charisma Years box set.
Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah, I've got it too. And you get all the studio albums up to 78, I think, on the CDs. But then you get 4 surround sound mixes, including this, and then you get H2HE, Who Am the Only One. You get Still Life, and I believe God Bluff, and then World Record came out earlier this year. So Taylor's gone back and done World Record too. Well, now I just want him to do The Least We Can Do Is Wave to Each Other. I think the multi-track tapes don't exist, but who knows, with the AI upmixing that could happen. For me, The Quiet Zone, The Pleasure Dome, I think that really needs a revisit, because it's got some level issues. It's a great album, but it's got some level issues throughout. We need to do a video of, I'm sorry, just thinking out loud here. We need to do a video about albums that we think should get remixed. That's a great idea. And yeah, we'll send it off to Steven Wilson and be like, here you go. I'm sure he's got lots of suggestions too. Oh yeah. And he only does what he likes, right? He's like, if I only like 3 albums by this band, I'm only doing the 3 albums and that's it, Yeah. He only did 1 ELP album. Which one?
He did 2 actually. He did the first album and Tarkus.
That's right. He did Tarkus. I forgot.
And for the first album, like the multi-tracks were missing for like half of it. So he only mixed like 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about him a little bit more here. You saw.
I was just thinking this morning, Cody, I got to revisit the Yes album, and then you sent it on your list. I thought, that's interesting.
I love it. And the money shot is perpetual change. Mm-hmm. Because the Atmos mix of that, Steven Wilson has just gone to Atmos craze, and we are all better for it. Him coming along and doing this whole album, but that song, especially when it goes into that riff in the middle, that part in the middle, oh my God! And then when the second I don't know how you would call it. Like when they
it's sort of like the second band, you could say, because it is sort of like 2 bands. Yeah,
exactly. When they bring that back and they're sort of like all in this Atmos mix, and the original track, that part is literally traveling all around the room. You can hear it going through each speaker as it happens, and it's so cool. And the rest of the album obviously is amazing, but that was kind of what influenced my choice to put this on the list today. Yeah. And, just the little nuances and certain Steve Howe guitar solos and stuff in other songs, kind of just traveling around the room and going back and forth. It's awesome. And okay, I think I'm going to mention my last Steven Wilson one now before we do the final 3. Oh yeah. Porcupine Tree, Fear of a Blank Planet. This just got remixed last year, and the drum sound on this is so big. Oh my God. I put this on my system and it's like the band are playing in the room. Like it's so good. And that I'm surprised it didn't get an Atmos mix, considering this was done in 2024. And that was kind of when he jumped on the Atmos train, kind of full stop, but I'm happy with it. The 5.1.
Well, I can tell you, because I've interviewed him and I asked him this question. The reason why it wasn't done is because the multi-tracks or the digital session it was mixed in is in an old format that isn't Atmos compatible.
That makes sense.
What he told me. So I think if it were possible, he would have done it.
That sucks.
But that being said, the 5.1 mix, which was originally done when the album came out in 2007, I think, the version in the box set, he remastered it. So it does sound, it's the same mix, but it is a bit more dynamic than the one on there was originally a DVD-A standalone. Yeah. I would say if you have the choice today, whether to get the old DVD or the box set, I would get the box set.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. There we go.
I'd like to get that.
Right.
Yeah, I missed out on that one. I love that album. That's probably my favorite.
It has the No Recurring, the EP, also in 5.1.
Oh, cool. Isn't there like a pre-release version of that album, like a live version on that set too?
There is a bit of a live show where they do the whole album.
Yeah, almost the whole album. I think there's one song that was recorded for the album, but I can't remember. Is that in 5.1 too?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, but you do, like Jonathan said, you do get No Recurring, which is kind of like the unreleased half of this album in a sense, which is really cool. And you get that in 5.1, and lots of cool, like on the CDs, you get like demos and outtakes and, other stuff like the BBC sessions, and then a show in Sweden, I believe it is. I say that because I can't pronounce which country they're playing in.
That might be a Christmas list item for me. I think I need that.
You do. I know you're a Steven Wilson fan, so you're a Porcupine Tree guy.
Yeah,
you got to have. A couple of more ultimate ones for me. I've just done to my final three. I'm really not trying to go on for too long, but it happens when you get excited, right?
We just hit 21:12 on the clock, so you got a rush there.
Actually, I do. Let's talk about the Rush one. The remix of Moving Pictures. This is the big bastard box set on that. I don't know if I could say that word.
I wonder which box set is thicker, that one or the Who's Next box, or if they're like equally sized.
I don't know. I don't have Who's Next.
The Who's Next box is the biggest one I've got. Like it's massive.
This is, I think the biggest one that I have is Pink Floyd Early Years.
Oh yeah.
That's the big one. That's a biggie. But oh my gosh, the surround sound Atmos mix of this thing is absolutely insane. Like, it's like sitting in front of Peart's drum kit. I mean, you already kind of had that with good stereo imaging if you listen to even the original vinyl recording, but this in Atmos, oh my God, the drums just going right around you as you're sitting in the hotspot, listening to this. And the production was already immaculate, so it makes sense that they decided to give this a sort of Atmos vibe. And this is like one of them where when I have people over to show them how things sound in Atmos, this is usually one of them that I play.
That's the demo disc.
Yeah, that's the demo disc. And I had someone on my channel say the other day when I made this video, it was about essential prog rock albums to listen to on good stereo systems. And someone said prog rock is not really good for demoing sound systems. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. I don't agree, but we can agree to disagree. This is absolutely fantastic. Just a great sounding album and absolutely perfect in Atmos. The same as this. Huge Beatles fan. And so when this came out and we were getting a 5.1 and an Atmos mix, it was like, oh God, yes. And this in Atmos, just with the upper channels and everything. I mean, I can't believe that this came out in 1969. And it sounds like it came out last week. Yeah. It's a very impressive mix, and it sounds awesome. Giles Martin did a great job. And I wish they put out the Revolver box set, and the thing that really upset me about that was that they gave the Atmos mix to Apple Music, and they didn't put it on a DVD in the box set. Yeah. Jonathan, do you know anything about this?
If only it could be released as a download, maybe, or something like that. If anyone from Apple Universal is watching this.
Well, then when that does happen, we know how to go get it.
That's a great album. I'm not familiar with that mix. I think I've only heard that on streaming, like a long time ago.
I think
that's a great album.
It's my favorite album of all time. But
really?
Yeah.
It's almost like an early prog album for me.
Yep.
Especially that whole second side, the suite. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my favorite side in all of music. I absolutely love it. And I don't say that lightly because I love a lot of music. That's how
sure
it is. I think you can still get this. I think it's still available. So if you want to pick up a copy, I think you should still do it.
I might have to look into that.
My final one.
This is an expensive episode.
I know. I'm just thinking the same thing. Like, oh my God, I just dropped $80 on Zappa.
My final one is one that's probably a little bit of a controversial thing, because I know that you like there's been, this album has been remixed so many times. I mean, I have other mixes of it too, but when I heard the Atmos mix of this come out, and we were getting to tracks like On the Run, we were getting tracks like Time, all these sort of things, it was just like, oh my God, this is the supreme Dolby Atmos. I've never heard music like this before. Like in this way. I mean, yeah, if you can't
Is that
tell what
Spinal
it is,
Tap? Who is that?
it's Pink Floyd. It's Dark Side of the Moon. This is the 50th anniversary box. You can get the Atmos mix in a standalone DVD, but I got the box when it came out. Being a record store owner, you get, these sort of advanced copies of things.
I bet people were mad who dropped like $300 for the box that it came out on a $20 Blu-ray like 6 months later.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, the rest of the stuff in the box is nice too. I'm sure there's like a nice, hardcover book in there and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. And there is the whole Wembley show on vinyl, I think, in there. But the money shot for me was the Atmos mix. I had the 5.1 mix in the Immersion box set. And you guys were talking about the 2003 remix.
Yeah, which I prefer, and I can't, like, I mean, I'm an audio engineer and mixing and mastering engineer, and I can't quantify exactly what it is that bothers me about the Atmos mix, but it almost sounds plastic to me compared to the 2003, and I don't know why.
I thought it sounded a little bit like there was less top end than there was in the 2003 mix. So I wonder if maybe they transferred the tapes again and they lost a little of their, in the 20 years between the two mixes. Yeah. The version for me, and you mentioned the 40th anniversary Immersion box. The great thing about the Immersion box is it has the quad mix that Alan Parsons did in the 70s, which there are rumors, they say that the band doesn't really like that mix, which is why it wasn't in the 50th anniversary version. But to me, that's the best version.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to hear that.
So we've just picked 3 different versions, did we?
Yeah. 3 different takes on Dark Side of the Moon. And see,
I mean, there are parts of the Atmos mix that are great. Like On the Run is incredible. Like, the stuff moving around the top speakers. So yeah,
that's the money shot.
I mean, for me, it's like I can only be happy with something like the King Crimson Complete Recordings 1969 box, because in that I think you get 4 multi-channel mixes in that box set.
There's the 2009 mix, the 2019 one, and the Atmos mix.
So and the Atmos mix. Yep, there's 3 different versions of it. So yeah, they need to do something like that for Dark Side to make us all happy.
Yeah, I wanted to pull out Lark's Tongues and Aspic, but
I got you on that.
I know. That's why I didn't do it. I almost put it in there. It's like, I think Ian got that. Okay, so. But that's my list, guys. So I'm so sorry it went on for too long.
Great list.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, Jonathan, let's hear your list.
All right. So for the first one, I'm going to go with so I don't actually have the discs in front of me. So maybe we can do like some creative post-production thing. Like you could superimpose the album cover or something.
I'm going to do that for my list. I should have been prepared for that, but that's all right. I can do that in post.
Yeah, I'm one who I copy all my discs like to a hard drive and just listen to the files. Like I'm one of those people. So all the discs are back in New York where I grew up. But anyway, for my first choice, I'm going to go with a classic soul album from the 70s, which is Ship Ahoy by the OJs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this album was released on a Super Audio CD way back in 2001. And Cody, you mentioned that like with the Elton John disc, it's a hybrid. So like it'll play as a regular CD in a CD player. The OJ's disc and a lot of the early Sony ones were not hybrids, so they will not play in a regular CD player. Really stupid decision, I think. And they rectified that eventually by adding the hybrid capability. But this disc is touted as a 5.1 release, but it's actually the 70s quad mix. Like they just took the quad and they merged a bit of the front left and right channels to make like a fake center.
Cool.
But like a lot of 70s quad mixes, it has like some like interesting unconventional panning. Like in the song For the Love of Money, the bass like jumps around the room from corner to corner. On a couple of the songs, like the kick drum is in the front left speaker, the snare is in the front right. And it somehow it works. But yeah, really cool record. If you like that style of music, I definitely recommend it. For a long time, it was one of the like rarest SA CDs. Like you'd go on eBay and you'd see this disc sell for like $200-300. But just I think last year, there's a label called Dutton Vocalion in the UK that specialize in doing SA CDs of old quad mixes, and they just reissued it. So for the first time in like 20 years, you can get, you can hear this mix on a new SA CD for like $20. So highly recommend that. For my second choice, I'm going to go with one of my favorite rock albums of all time, which is Deep Purple's Machine Head. I think every song on that record is killer. So there are a lot of different versions of this that have been released in surround. By my count, there are 4 different surround mixes. There, in the 70s, there were 2 different quad versions. There was one released in the UK and one in the US. And then in the early 2000s, there was a 5.1 mix. And then, like you said, last year, there was Dweezil Zappa's Atmos mix. So the version I'm choosing as my favorite is the quad mix from the UK, which was released on an SA CD back in 2003. Very simple mix, but it works really well. The drums and bass are in the front, vocal in the center, the phantom center, because it's a quad mix. And then the guitar is in one of the back speakers, and the organ is in the other back speaker. And then the solos are either in front of you or behind you, depending on the song. So it's not really gimmicky, like except for at the beginning of Lazy with the distorted keyboards, they kind of move around a little bit. But it just kind of feels like you're in the rehearsal space surrounded by the band. Really, really cool. Next, I'm going with Sea Change by Beck, which was released in 2002 or 2003. So there's an SACD, DVD audio, and then years later there was a Blu-ray audio version that was a reissue. But all of them have the same 5.1 mix by Elliot Shiner, who, like I mentioned before, did all kinds of great work during the early 2000s. Like he did Hotel California, he did A Night at the Opera. But I would say this is one of my favorite mixes that he's done. It's hard to describe the style of this album exactly. I think it was like a breakup album. It's kind of folk music, but there's like elements of like psychedelia in it. Like a lot of it is like him like playing acoustic guitar and singing, but there's a lot of like interesting electronic elements and synthesizers and things. Nigel Godrich, who famously worked with Radiohead, produced this album. So it has like a lot of that kind of sound in it. Yeah. And the surround mix, is great separation. A lot of the like vocal harmonies are in the back. Depending on the song, it's like guitars or keyboards in the back. Really, really cool. Sadly, it's been out of print for a long time and it's hard to get. So it would be a good one to be reissued. And you can only talk about surround sound for so long without mentioning Steven Wilson. So for one of several picks on my list from him, I'm going with Gentle Giant, The Power and the Glory.
Nice. I missed out on that one.
Choice.
Yeah. I think it's still in print.
No,
it's not. Really?
No, a friend of mine was able to get a DVD copy for like $25 or something like that. And that's about the best deal I've seen on it in years. I think I paid around $50 for it on Blu-ray, and that was earlier, either this year or last year. So yeah, I don't think that one's in print anymore.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, maybe they'll reissue it with an Atmos mix at some point.
Nice, but, yeah.
And it's not necessarily the album I would recommend for people who have never heard this band. Like I think they've made other records that are a little more accessible, like Freehand or Interview. But of the surround mixes, I think it's the best one. And part of the reason for that is like it's this like super dry, like clinical album. Like I think the only element that has any reverb on it is the vocals. And everything else is like this, like these super dry, close mic sounds. And there are times where it almost feels like each musician, like if you were to solo each of their parts, like they're playing like a different piece of music entirely. But somehow it all kind of fits together. It's a really crazy record, and it would be great in an Atmos mix.
Yes, it would.
That's one of my all-time faves, that album. I absolutely love it.
It's not necessarily my favorite album by them, but it has my favorite Gentle Giant song, which is a piece called Aspirations.
Yeah. I love that song.
Yeah, it's a great song, and probably like in the 5.1 mix at least, it's like one of the best drum sounds I've ever heard. Like I would demo my system with that song.
Yeah. That's Kerry Minier's album to me. Like his organ, his keyboard, his mini Moog sounds are at the center of that.
Do you guys have the Octopus surround sound mix?
Yes.
I didn't get that one.
Oh, I have them all.
It's great. Yeah.
Except for the first record. I don't have the Unburied Treasure box.
No, I don't have that one either. But the 3-piece suite, that's a really good one. It's kind of like a amalgam of the first 3 albums, what multi-tracks were available at the time. Right. And then I think within a week of that coming out, somebody said, "Hey, I didn't know you guys were looking for the multi-tracks for the first album. They're like in my shed," or something like that. And it turns out the guy was absolutely not kidding. He actually had them. And then it came out on the Unburied Treasure box set. So like Jonathan, that's the only one that I'm missing. But yeah, I love all of those.
Yeah. Even like The Missing Piece, which was like an album I didn't really care for until the surround mix came out. It was like, wow, like this is actually a great record. Yeah. I mean, the problem with that one is the original mix had like no bass for some reason. Yeah. And when you hear the surround version, it's shocking like how well it was actually recorded.
Yes.
Well, that's another Steven Wilson wonder, right? Like he did the same sort of thing with Chicago too, where when you listen to his remix, it's hard to. I mean, the original one was great for its time, but listening to his remix of an album like that, it's kind of hard to go back to the original one and go, oh, it's kind of muddy and kind of this. He just kind of cleans them up, and he doesn't change anything, but he kind of makes things more prominent in the mix, kind of cleans them up, makes them more bright. And yeah, that's what he did with The Missing Piece too.
Yeah, so the next pick on my list is Bob Marley and the Wailers Legend compilation, which was mixed in 5.1 by Bob Clearmountain back in 2014, I want to say. So I'm not like the world's biggest reggae fan, but like everybody knows these songs. You know, like Legend was one of the best-selling like CDs ever, I think, when it came out. Like everybody has this album. Yeah. And again, it's like it's one of those things where you've heard these songs like 1,000 times. When you hear it in surround, it has like a whole new dimension to it. I mean, there are a lot of layers on some of these songs, especially like some of the like more complex ones like Exodus or Waiting in Vain. The mix is very separated, where there's essentially like a different thing in every speaker. A lot of like the vocals and bass are in the center. And then in the individual corners, there's like little like blasts of organ, guitar, all kinds of like percussion spread out all around you. It's not like a super adventurous mix as far as like things spinning around. Like it's pretty static, but there's tons and tons of separation. The other thing I would add on that one is that there was a Atmos mix done for streaming services a couple years later, like in 2020 or 21. That's also pretty good, but I would say the Bob Clearmountain 5.1 mix is better. That's the one I would go for.
You can't top Bob Clearmountain. Like he's one of the best. If not the best, he may be the best.
Well, you've got Avalon on your list, which I would have put on mine. My next pick is another Steven Wilson mix, which is Rush's A Farewell to Kings. So again, like some of the other stuff on my list, there are a couple of different surround versions of this album. There's a 5.1 mix that was done for the Sector 2 box by Richard Schickey in 2011 or 2012. And then more recently, he did an Atmos mix of it for streaming services. But the version I'm talking about is in the 40th anniversary box set, which came out in 2017, which has Steven Wilson's 5.1 mix. And I think a lot of people may not have heard this because the box set was expensive and it wasn't in print for very long. Like I'd say it came out 2017. It was gone maybe by 2019. But I did manage to get a copy, and it's such a great mix. And one of the things that's cool about it is in general, like if you compare this to other Rush records, like, you know, Signals or Moving Pictures, there isn't like a ton to work with. Like there's a lot of segments on this album where it's kind of just like drums, bass, and guitar. And like, how do you really spread that out? Like to this point, there's a short essay from Steven Wilson in the book where he kind of explains the challenges of mixing this album in surround. Because a lot of it is like you have Alex Lifeson's, you know, double track guitars, you have Geddy's bass and Neil's drums. And it's kind of like, you're not going to put the guitars anywhere other than the front. You're not going to put bass anywhere other than the front. So what do you use to spread around the room?
Yeah.
And what he ended up doing was he sort of mixed the drums in surround. So
Yeah.
like when he does those big fills, like they fly around the room.
Yeah.
And some of the other songs have layers on them. Like there's like Getty plays synth on a couple of songs. There's some like extra percussion. There's one song that has like a rattle slap in it. I think it's Closer to the Heart. But other than that, there aren't really a lot of like backing vocals and things. But even though there's not that much to play with, it works really well in surrounds. And I think of all the Rush surround mixes, including the Atmos moving pictures, Atmos signals, it's the best one.
Mm-hmm. A lot of those less is more mixes are my favorites. I like to hear what he can do with very little. Like we mentioned Live at Pompeii off air, and that's very sparse, but it sounds huge. And one thing I wanted to mention about the Farewell to Kings mix is I love the choice to put the low toms in the back channels. That's very heavy. He did something similar with Locomotive Breath on the new Still Living in the Past.
Living in the Past, yeah.
Yeah. And to have those lower toms raging at the back of your neck is very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's definitely the best way to hear that record.
Yep.
My next choice is Bruce Sword's album Luminescence, which if you're not familiar with him, he's the lead singer of the band The Pineapple Thief.
Mm-hmm.
Who are
like he's done some tall stuff, right?
He's done like kind of like Steven Wilson. He's become famous for doing mixes of his own stuff and for like sort of other artists.
Yeah.
He's done a couple of the new Tull albums. He's done a bunch of Catatonia albums, if you've heard of that band.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got a pretty big sort of discography of stuff. And his own career, like the first Pineapple Thief album was in 1999. So it's like, almost 30 years worth of music.
Yeah.
So, there's lots of mixes by him I think are great. My favorite Pineapple Thief album is called Versions of the Truth. It came out like during the pandemic. There's a great 5.1 mix of that record. You can either get it on Blu-ray or we have it on the IAA site as a download. Nice. But of all of them, I'm going to go with his last solo record, which came out in September of 2023. So there was a box set version of this that came with a 5.1 mix, but the Atmos mix was originally intended only for streaming services. So we were able to get the Atmos mix as a high-res download at IAA. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing. But this is a great record. It's kind of like basically a solo affair where he plays almost all the instruments. It's got programmed drums. But there's a lot of great like vocal layering. My favorite part about it is he got like a real string quartet instead of synth strings to play along with him. So it's a really beautiful record, some great, harmonies. The lyrics are kind of like sad, has sort of like a melancholy vibe, but it's a good listen. Next, I'm going with a classic album, The Grateful Dead's American Beauty.
Yeah, nice one. That's my favorite.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite Dead records too. But back in the early 2000s, Mickey Hart, who was a member of the Dead, did a 5.1 mix of this album, which is long out of print, but you can get it if you go on, eBay or Discogs or one of those sites. But in 2022, Steven Wilson, of all people, did an Atmos mix of this record that was released only on streaming services, and it's still up there. And it was kind of released with very little fanfare. Like I remember he just kind of like posted on Facebook about it. He was like, okay, like I did this mix, and there was no real like record company announcement about it or anything. But I think it might be my favorite Atmos mix that he's done, which again, like we were talking about kind of with the with Rush or with the Bob Marley stuff, like you would think there's not that much to play with on that record. Like it was recorded in 1970. But there's so much separation in the mix. I mean, a lot of the songs have like 3 or 4 different vocal parts. There's this song called Addicts of My Life on that record, which is not like one of the famous songs on the album. Like the songs people know are like Truckin' and Friends of the Devil. But it's set up so the main vocal is in the center and there's a different harmony in each of the 4 height speakers. So it's kind of like you're sort of bathed in these like angelic harmonies. In the song Truckin', like the guitars are very isolated in the sides. So like the like guitar licks come from next to you, the organs in the back. Crazy good mix. I hope they do a Blu-ray of it at some point. It was just announced the other day that they're doing a Blu-ray of Steven's mix of Blues for Allah, which is another Dead record.
Yeah.
So
that's
assuming
awesome.
that does well, maybe they'll do the other two that he mixed, which are American Beauty and Europe 72, the live record.
That,
And I wanted to interrupt real quick and say that for those of you who are like me, who are progressive rock fans, but haven't spent a whole lot of time with the Dead, Cody has been doing a Grateful Dead series on his YouTube channel, and Blues for Allah was top of my list. Thanks to Cody's recommendation. So I'm actually thinking I might grab that.
It's probably their like proggiest record,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I swear, if you like American Beauty, which is probably my favorite Grateful Dead record, but if you grew up on stuff like Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and that type of early 70s, Joni Mitchell, that kind of folk rock, classic rock stuff, American Beauty is right up your alley. I mean, ultimately, it's them just kind of stripping away everything, all that early records like The Insanity of Aoxomoxoa and all that stuff. They're just like, okay, we're just going to come into the studio and we're just going to write songs together as opposed to just recording whatever. And, I love the early records. They're great. But like this is them really just going, okay, we've got literally nothing. We've got a short time to do this. Let's make a record and let's make the songs awesome. Because before they would do songs live and then bring them into the studio. As for this time, it was the other way around. They wrote everything in the studio and then brought it out live. And then the songs ended up being 10, 15 minutes, whatever, when they would play them in a live setting.
Yeah.
And that Dolby Atmos mix is awesome. I listen to it a lot in my Apple AirPods because those are Atmos enabled and it sounds amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you got to hear it on the full 714 setup. It's insane.
I have the original Mickey Hart 5.1 DVD. And that sounds pretty good, but I haven't heard it like proper. Like I'm waiting for a physical release.
wait, I know we gotta keep moving.
Yeah,
but my next choice is Act 3 by Ryan Elliott, which is another IAA release. So Ryan Elliott, if you're not familiar with him, he's best known for doing Atmos and 5.1 mixes of the Tom Petty catalog. So like on streaming services, he's done Wildflowers, The Heartbreakers' Greatest Hits, and a couple of the other records. So I interviewed him a couple years ago, and he got in touch with me not long after, and he told me he was making his own album, like specifically for Atmos, where he was like writing and arranging to best take advantage of the Atmos space. So this is a really cool record. Like it's certainly influenced by a lot of 70s music. Like you could tell he was influenced by Pink Floyd. There's some like kind of King Crimson influence in there. Like there's one of the songs has a Mellotron on it. But anyway, the Atmos mix is, because it was made for it, is like one of the best I've heard, where he would intentionally like layer up and double vocals to fill out the extra speakers. And it got nominated for a Grammy for Best Immersive Audio Album back in 2024. So cool. Definitely check that out, either streaming or the IA download. And for my last pick, I'm going to go with XTC's The Big Express, another Steven Wilson mix.
Great choice.
So much like with The Power and the Glory for Gentle Giant, this is not the album I'd recommend to people who are discovering XTC. It's probably one of their least accessible albums. It's very like sort of mechanical sounding. There's a lot of interlocking parts, but it's perfect for Atmos because of that, because there's almost too much in it for stereo to contain. I mean, right from the first song, it's called Wake Up. There's this thing with like interlocking guitars, and in the Atmos mix, they bounce all around the room. There's this song called Train Running Low on Soul Coal, which kind of sounds like you're inside of a train, like the way it's done. And there's parts spread all around and above you. I mean, it's a really insane mix. That one and Oranges and Lemons are probably the two of the surround mixes I'd say are the best two. But like they're all great. Like I love Skylarking, I love Black Sea, I love Drums and Wires. All those albums are great.
Cool.
Yeah, I love that one. I actually just revisited that one not too long ago. And, one of the things that I love about a good multi-channel mix is that it will tell you within the first few seconds, okay, you're in multi-channel. And when they're doing those interlocking, and it's just like, you can't quite tell where it's coming from. That's cool. It's like a ping pong effect almost. Yeah, that's a great mix.
Sweet.
All right. Is it my turn? Or you got one more? I think it's my turn. Okay. So a couple things to mention. My allergies are threatening to murder me. this week. So hopefully I don't have to sneeze in the middle of my presentation. But yeah, that's why my energy's been kind of low this week and stuff. But I'm going to try and get through these 10 choices here. But up first, I'm going to add this to the stage. Black Sabbath, Paranoid.
A very timely choice.
A very timely choice indeed. And I was just thinking about this album only a few days ago, and then the news that Ozzy had passed. And I already had this on my list too, but I had to break it out and play it again. But I haven't spent a whole lot of time with vintage Quadio mixes. But from what I understand, just based on what you've told me, Jonathan, I think this is very representative of what those were like, because this is very experimental to me in terms of the panning. One criticism, I think Ozzy's voice is a little bit low in it at times, especially in War Pigs. But I love stuff like the opening of Iron Man, where that kick drum just feels like it's going to rattle pictures off your wall or something. And you can hear when Iommi comes in, like that actually does travel around the room. And it's like very simple. There's only like 4 guys here. I think they were a quartet at this time. So it's not like they had a lot to play with, but I think this mix does a lot with very little. And it's very heavy too. I just thought I would make that my first choice, especially given that the Oz has passed on, and that's very sad. But I think this is one of the great multi-channel mixes of all time. And again, like, it is a vintage Quadio mix, but it sounds like it could have been made today. Like it sounds as immersive as any Atmos or 5.1 mix. Do you guys have this one?
Yeah. And I have the original Quad LP and the gear to play it on.
Nice.
The Blu-ray disc sounds much better.
You think so?
They did some creative stuff, like with bouncing the drums around, like in War Pigs. A lot of the fills move around. There's one song, I think it's Hand of Doom, where there's a part where like Ozzy's voice jumps from corner to corner. They did some like sort of fun, like psychedelic things with that. That's one of the things I like about quad mixes. They seemed to be eager to kind of push the envelope and really show off that it's surround.
Yeah. I wish they'd done more of them.
It's the only Sabbath record to have a surround mix. Steven Wilson did a stereo remix of Technical Ecstasy a couple years ago, but no surround version. So I wonder if maybe one day they'll ask him to do an Atmos mix of that, because kind of like the Chicago record we talked about earlier, he did a stereo mix like back in 2016, and the Atmos version just came out this year. So
right. See, I was going to put that Chicago mix on my list, but I thought maybe Cody might pick it. So
well, I didn't pick it, but I did have to mention it just a little bit.
Yeah. Were you going to say something about this, Cody, before I move on?
I was just going to say, I don't have it yet, but we just got it in at the record store. Actually, we just stocked that. Like, that literally just came in an order this morning.
You got to grab it.
I know, I'm going to have to get it.
Yeah, you got to grab it. All right, up next for me, this is another one of those SACD titles.
Ooh,
that's a CD layer as well as a 5.1 surround layer. And it's been a little while since I've heard it. Obviously, it's Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. But this strikes me as an absolutely perfect translation of the original stereo mix to 5.1 surround. And you can definitely hear a lot of details, in my opinion, that I couldn't hear on the original mix. But more importantly, it's like, if I were to just put my headphones on and listen to this original mix and imagine what an immersive version would be, it's just perfect. Like all the placement, all the levels are just absolutely perfect. And like from the opening moments of this record, you can hear the wine glasses. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where they're playing the wine glasses at the beginning of Shine On. You can hear that coming from the back channels, and then Rick Wright's leads coming from the front, and it's just perfect. You know, what else can I say? This is a great James Guthrie mix, and I would be curious to hear what the quadraphonic mix sounded like.
I was just thinking about it. Yeah,
who did the quad mix?
It was done by Brian Humphreys, who was the original recording engineer, who also did the stereo mix, and he worked on the next record, Animals, which I would say of the James Guthrie mixes, Animals I think is my favorite one.
Is that right?
Yeah, for me personally, but like they all sound good. The quad mix of Wish You Were Here is a little funky, like it's missing a couple of parts. Like in the title song, you know how like David Gilmour does that like vocal scatting with his solo.
Yeah.
Like the vocal part is like really low in the quad mix for some reason. But there's some interesting like extra stuff in it, like in at the end of Have a Cigar when it like collapses into the radio.
Yeah.
In the quad mix, the guitar solo keeps going. So you get to hear this extra guitar part that was mixed out of the stereo version. So it is a pretty cool mix. Like the Dark Side one, it is more aggressive in separating the parts. Like in Shine On You Crazy Diamond, like all the electric guitars are 100% in the back.
Wow.
You know, that is totally behind you in the quad mix.
I'd be curious to hear that. But I just want to mention like this is one of the very first 5.1 mixes I picked up after I got my new system. So I just have like a lot of nostalgia and happy feelings toward this mix in general. And for me, like Cody, which one, your demo disc was Moving Pictures. I think this is my immersive audio demo disc.
Another one that I tend to choose is also Dark Side. So I'm with you on the Floyd.
Well, speaking of demo discs, and Jonathan, of course, picked Big Express, but Skylarking is my pick for XTC. And again, it's just absolutely a perfect translation of the stereo mix. And a song like Another Satellite, I think, really comes to life. Or That's Really Supergirl. What's the one? Sacrificial Bonfire. Like all of these songs just sound so good. And the other thing is that this is one of the first Atmos mixes, I think, where I heard a considerable upgrade over the original 5.1 mix. And I'm running a 5.1.2 system, so I'm not getting the full overheads or anything like that. But I did notice that there was a lot of really interesting use of heights on this mix. So I definitely would, again, this is a demo worthy disc for you folks. Have you guys heard this one too?
Yeah, I've got it.
I don't know that much about XTC, but I want to check this album out.
Yeah, this is the one, I think. And the one that Jonathan said too, Big Express, but I wouldn't necessarily start with that one. I would start.
I would pick this one over Big Express, like if you've never heard anything by XTC before.
Yeah.
I mean, there's kind of a split where the earlier stuff like Drums and Wires, Black Sea, there's sort of like a punkiness to it a little bit. And then these later records, after they stopped touring, it's kind of like with the Beatles where they went into the studio and they started like experimenting more with layering. So musically for me, probably this one and the next one, Oranges and Lemons, are my two favorites. But for surround, like I said, the Big Express is probably the best one.
Yeah, and it's Todd Rundgren producing, so
yeah,
there you go.
And he famously did not get along with Andy Partridge. Like I think they had a bad time making this record, but it turned out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sometimes that happens. Like, sometimes art can come from adversity. But I'm gonna throw a Hawkwind album on here. Would you say, Cody?
I just said Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah. So this is X, In Search of Space from Hawkwind. And I had to include a mix from Stephen W. Taylor. Cody, of course, picked Pawn Hearts, which is one of my favorites. I might have picked that one, but the reason why I picked X, In Search of Space is that I'd heard this album a long time ago, and I couldn't engage with the original mix of it because it's not a very good sounding album. But I think that what Taylor did is he revealed just how well recorded this actually is. And he made me fall in love with this album with his new mix. And I would say he also made me fall in love with Hawkwind in general. And now I've got the bug. I've got that big box set on order, Hall of the Mountain Grill. I've gone back and I've gotten the Wilson mix, Warrior on the Edge of Time. Cody, that was another suggestion of yours that I bought off of your channel. So appreciate that.
Do you have the other one that Steven did? The was it Quark, Strangeness, and Charm?
I need to get that.
Hawk but it's Lords, like PXR5. It has those 3 records on it.
It's like $100 for 3, which is actually not a bad price, but it's like, I'm spending in so many other different directions, but I really want that because Quark, Strangeness, and Charm is a wonderful album. And that's another one that I fell in love with too, is Space Ritual.
Yeah.
That's awesome. A live album with Lemmy. yeah, Lemmy's just nailing that bass into the ground like it's a guitar.
Yep.
And everything else just kind of floats above it. But yeah, I just want to mention, I don't think I can give a higher compliment to a mixing engineer or mix than this. That this made me reappraise the band in its entirety. And so I highly recommend this album, X in Search of Space. And we're going to continue this kind of space rock vein. I don't know if you'd necessarily call these guys rock music.
Okay,
and I'm going to cheat a little bit by including a boxed set. But this is Tangerine Dream in Search of Hades, the Virgin Recordings 1973 to 1979. And this includes 3 5.1 mixes from Steven Wilson, Phaedra, Ricochet, and the unreleased album Oedipus Tyrannus. And Jonathan and I were kind of talking about this right before we started. And it's difficult to kind of talk about this sort of music because how do you explain the placement of things? How do you explain the instruments when it's a lot of sequencers, electronics, mellotrons? There's no vocals. There's not really any drums except for a little bit on Ricochet. But what I love about ambient music is that it changes the texture of the environment. When you put this on, the whole room feels different. And I love to put these albums on at night and just kind of meditate, like take deep breaths and just kind of float. And I've probably played these albums hundreds and hundreds of times because in addition to the excellent 5.1 mixes, there's also concerts in this set that just meander. And, sometimes that's what I want. I just want to meander and just kind of float along.
There's like 20 discs in that set, right? It's
huge.
Yeah.
It's an insane amount of content. And there was a follow-up box to this that didn't have any 5.1 mixes, but I should have gotten it too. But yeah, I love this band. I don't feel like they're talked about a whole lot because I think they're kind of better known for their soundtracks of movies like Sorcerer and Risky Business and those kinds of things. But yeah, great mixes from Steven Wilson. And I know this is one of his favorite bands. But we're going to move on to some more kind of hardcore progressive music.
All right.
And this is King Crimson with Lark's Tongues and Aspic.
That's the granddaddy right there.
That is the granddaddy. And the original 2013 5.1 mix of this is also one of the greats. But I bought this when it came out, and this was before I had an Atmos system, but it was one of those things where it's like I bought it, I kept it in the cellophane, and I thought one day.
So to be clear, we're talking about the 2023, the complete recordings edition.
The complete recordings edition, yeah. That's the version I bought, and I kept it wrapped in the cellophane for a few months, and then I got my Atmos system that year around Christmas. And so this was the disc I put on the first time I got, like when I had the mic set up to get the placement right and everything. This is the first thing that I put on that day. And it's always been a huge nostalgic play for me. And it's cinema for your ears. Like this takes this album and it's like a movie. I absolutely love it. And this is another demo disc for me too. Like I've played this for basically anybody who will listen to it. And like one of the big things about this album is the dynamic changes. I think Steven Wilson famously said that it goes through more dynamic changes in like the first 5 minutes than some bands' entire discographies. And that's true. And like on a really good Dolby Atmos or 5.1 system, this thing thumps. But it also can be very quiet and subtle and beautiful. So yeah, there's I've run out of adjectives. I've run out of superlatives. I've run out of hyperbole. Get this mix.
I mean, you think about even a simple song like, Book of Saturday. Like, it sounds great in Atmos. I love at the end when the vocals come out of the ceiling.
Yeah. Yeah, this is phenomenal. And you folks need this.
I got it.
Well, I was talking to our invisible audience at home, who are currently budgeting how they're going to pick up all of our choices.
And like, even if you, like, to your point, if you have all the 40th anniversary ones that have the 5.1 mixes, like the Atmos mixes have all been better. Like the Atmos mix of Red is fantastic.
Yes.
The Atmos mix of Court of the Crimson King, which is only in a box set, unfortunately, is fantastic. So,
but a worthwhile box set to get too.
Yeah.
And there's an Atmos mix of Robert Fripp's Exposure that's really good.
Yes, that is
and
awesome.
I think we're going to get Lizard by the end of the year. I think
Lizard and Poseidon, I think, are supposed to be the next two.
Ooh.
But the one I want to hear in Atmos is Discipline. I think that would be killer.
Yeah. Yeah, that one and Starless and Bible Black, I think, are my big grails right now for Crimson and Atmos. But Lizard's going to be sweet. So I've got two more, and this is another box set, so I'm cheating. But this is Frank Zappa's Waka Wazoo, and this is another early Atmos mix for me. And the reason why it makes sense to include both of them is that they were released together. This is the Grand Wazoo as well as Waka Jawaka. Both albums that were recorded in 1972 while Frank was in the wheelchair following, he was attacked on stage, I believe at the Rainbow Theater, which you can actually hear a recording of that in the Mother's 1971 box set. But anyway, these are very jazzy albums. The humor is there, but it's not as overt. It's not lyrical humor. And the way I always talk about Waka Jawaka is that it's like Frank's healing music. You can kind of feel like when you're listening to Big Swifty, you can feel the effects of painkillers because it feels a little bit muddled. It feels like it's not quite sure where it's going to go, but it's very beautiful. But then by the time you get to the end of the album and the triumphant horn section at the end of the title track of Waka Jawaka, you can feel Frank coming back. Like this is him, finally returning. And it's just, again, talking about technicality of the mix, I think this is the best Zappa multi-channel mix by far.
I agree.
I liked Overnight Sensation and I liked Apostrophe. Cheaper Than Cheap, I had some reservations about, but we did get an announcement of One Size Fits All today, which won't make a whole lot of sense if I post this next week. But I'm really looking forward to that because Frank Zappa is my favorite artist. Talking a little bit about the Grand Wazoo, that was kind of his big band album. I'm not sure how many pieces, like 18 pieces or something like that. But the song for Calvin and his next two hitchhikers, I think, is an unforgettable multi-channel experience. If you ever have the opportunity. Do you guys have this mix by chance?
Yeah.
For me, I would say my pick would be Blessed Relief. I think
that's beautiful.
Of all the mixes on that album, I think that's my favorite one. But I agree with you, of the three that have been done in Atmos, Overnight Sensation, Apostrophe, and this, I think this is the most effective of the three.
Yeah. And why do you think that is? Do you think it's the
maybe it's because it doesn't have vocals too.
Yeah.
It's kind of like there's sort of more space to pay attention to the other stuff. I mean, the interesting thing about these mixes, and I interviewed Karma and Eric, who have done all the Zappa stuff, and their approach is kind of like not necessarily like mixing things directly into speakers. Like they're kind of placing elements in space. So if you're listening to like a really good setup, like you could hear like the guitar is like somewhere between like the front height and side. Like it's sort of floating in these. There's instruments placed in these areas where there aren't speakers. It's an interesting approach.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, it is a good sounding mix for sure.
And I think it highlights a lot of Frank's classical influences. Like you can hear a lot of the Varese percussion stuff coming through too. So I'm really looking forward to One Size Fits All. These two are probably my favorite Zappa records, but One Size Fits All is like in my top 5. So that one, I absolutely cannot wait to hear Inca Roads in Atmos. But
that's my favorite song.
Yeah. That's one of my favorites too. In college, my nickname was Inca Roads because I was so obsessed with it.
Here he comes now, Inca Roads.
So I got one more mix, and for some reason, my JPG of this was not working in the presentation. So we're just going to have to imagine it. But my final choice, and I had to pick a Jethro Tull because they're my other favorite artists. Frank Zappa and Jethro Tull are probably my top 2. And this was very hard because they're all amazing. Even This is amazing. And I had to fight myself actually not to put Still Living in the Past on the list because that's a new release and it's just kind of, in my ears and in my thoughts. And I love the whole idea that you get on one Blu-ray disc, You get the Living in the Past album remix for 5.1 with extras. Plus you get Carnegie Hall 1970, you get the flat transfer, you get different master mixes and stuff. So it was very tempting to add Still Living in the Past, but I'm going to go with Bursting Out. And I realize that's kind of an odd choice because it is a very minimal mix. Like we're talking about, I think most of it is an 8-track mix. Excellent.
I know you said you couldn't get the picture, so I'm like, I'm going to help him out.
There you go. But a lot of this is like 8-track mixes that were done in, Europe somewhere. And there's some stuff that's like a 24-track mix that was taken from, Bern, Switzerland. But
there was one of the shows was mixed twice.
Yes.
In the Heavy Horses box, there was a different mix of the Burn show, and then they had Steven Wilson do it again for the Bursting Out set. Yeah,
and in my opinion, it was a lot better. The songs that overlapped, I think, were a lot better on the Wilson mix. But what I love about this is that it kind of wraps around you, like you have Palmer and Evans keyboards kind of wrapping around you, and you have Barr like up front, right. And you kind of have John Glasscock on bass on the left channel, and you have Ian Anderson's vocals and flute in the center. And a lot of live albums don't take a lot of steps to immerse you into the actual music. A lot of times you have like the audience in the back and you have the band up front. And I think that Bursting Out it kind of takes the best of both worlds. It mixes you in the music as well as being in the audience. It doesn't make a lot of realistic sense, but it makes sense for, in terms of listening to an album. So the other thought I had was, this is an album that never sounded that great to begin with. And I think that, and it also sounded inconsistent because you're plugging in all these different venues together and trying to make a consistent sound. And I think that Wilson did a lot to make it sound like a consistent listening experience that we never had before with this album. And not only that, but he took an album that was never one of my favorites from one of my favorite bands, and he made it one of my favorites. Like I've revisited this many, many times since it came out. So I always say it's my favorite of the tall mixes, but I could have picked any of them. Like I love the Broadsword box. That's another one that I could have very easily picked.
For me, I think that might be the one. I mean, the interesting thing for me is like a lot of these old records I know because of stuff that was in my dad's collection. And the only Tull records he had were Thick as a Brick, War Child, and Aqualung. So those were the only ones I knew before these box sets started coming out. But yeah, in terms of like the balance of how much I like the music against how good is the mix, I think like the Broadsword one might be my favorite. I mean, the bonus disc on that is killer.
Yes.
Like there's an extra, like, what is it? Like 15 studio songs that are mixed in 5.1.
Yeah.
And then after that, probably one of like the later 70s, like so-called folk trilogy ones, like Songs from the Wood or Heavy Horses. Cause there's so much to play with in those songs.
And Stormwatch.
So many layers. Stormwatch is great too.
Yeah, that's a big one for me. I always loved that record, but Wilson's 5.1 mix of Stormwatch made it sound as good as those other two, which I always thought it was like a compromised recording or something. But that's what a lot of these 5.1 mixes prove, is that some of these older albums that I thought were like a poor recording, turns out they were recorded beautifully.
I mean, Aqualung is the best example of that. Yeah,
it's a great example of that. So there you have it. Those are my 10 choices, as well as Cody and Jonathan's choices. Before we sign off, is there anything you guys want to tell me? First off, what's up next for Brockway's Vinyl Bites? What you got planned?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me on the channel.
Anytime.
To be here. This is my first time. You've been on my channel once before, and you're coming back on because we're going to be doing some more cool stuff. Yes, Jonathan, you should come on my channel sometime. You're welcome.
Love to.
You're welcome on. And your last name is Cornell, after one of the most infamous Grateful Dead concerts ever. That is so cool. So tomorrow, it'll be a few days ago by the time we post this up. But I'm doing a video that's kind of like metal albums that prog rockers could appreciate. metal
Nice.
band that classic prog rockers could appreciate. So that'll be up and happening, and that's kind of what's next on the palette. And I don't really, I don't know. I don't know, but that's the next thing as of now.
What's our next collab? I can't remember.
10 more of the weirdest prog albums.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to follow up your video. So, Jonathan, what's going on with immersiveaudioalbum.com? Any plans?
Well, I would say go check out the site if you haven't already. We pretty regularly post like reviews of albums, interviews with mixing engineers, all kinds of features like that. Maybe buy some albums, check out what's in the shop. We do an in-house podcast. We've been posting new episodes like either monthly or bi-monthly. The first 4 episodes are out now. They're either on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
Excellent.
And check it out.
Cool. And the immersiveaudioalbum.com link is going to be in the description, as well as your interview with Stephen Wilson. And what the heck? Maybe we'll put your Still Living in the Past review too, since we mentioned that. It's a great review. I read it. Actually, I read that 10 minutes before I did my live stream on Still Living in the Past. So that was really cool, the timing on that.
I mean, in writing these reviews, I try to like really give people an idea of what it's like to be listening to the surround mix. Because I know, certainly in the case of Atmos, not a lot of people have a 714 system.
Right.
So I try to give like that key detail, like this is what's coming out of the height speakers. This is what's coming out of the sides. But it's tricky because you don't want to give too much away because there's something sacred about the first time you listen to surround mix and you don't know where all the stuff is going to come from. So
yeah. One of the things that when I was reading one of your reviews, there was like a light bulb that went off is when you talked about the horseshoe, the positioning being like a horseshoe of, and I think it was like Playing the Fool, the Gentle Giant album, because in my review, I kind of criticized it and I said, I feel like it's front heavy. And then you were saying like, oh, things are drifting into the sides and in the back. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay, I see. So yeah, some of those IAA reviews have really kind of helped me to appreciate things too, that previously I was struggling with. So I really appreciate that site.
Sometimes it's a challenge, like to do a review of like Close to the Edge, like to keep up with all the stuff that's happening in it.
Yeah.
I want to ask Jonathan. I think it's really cool that you are doing that with the immersive audio album site. How did you get involved with that company?
Oh, well, the company existed before I started working there, but I used to just kind of like, interact with people on audio forums and things and write reviews. And I saw like they were hiring when I was graduating college. So
nice.
Originally, the original idea was for me just to be like a freelance writer for them.
Right.
But eventually, like now I'm kind of in charge of it. And it's my job to, recruit labels and get music for the site and work on all these other things. So it's really cool.
That's cool. That is very cool. Awesome.
All right, guys.
I'm happy to have met you here.
I forgot one of my picks, but oh well. It was Avalon. But
weren't you going to talk about Avalon? I was thinking that too.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Avalon. I'm not sure how that got. I don't know. I think it's too late now, but because I think Cody's got to pick up Tara. But that's what triggered it. Was like, oh yeah, Tara. I forgot about that.
Bob Clearmountain mix. There was a 5.1 version done like 20 years ago. That's great. And then he remixed it in Atmos recently, and both of them are on this new Blu-ray.
Yes,
you get that.
Yes, that's a great mix. I guess this will be my coda. And just mention that Bob Clearmountain is one of the all-time great mixing and mastering engineers. He's a hero of mine. And the original 2003 5.1 mix of this was already one of my favorites. But it just suddenly got reissued in Atmos after being on streaming only. And this is very spacious. There's a lot of really innovative use of reverb and delay. And I think that kind of the hallmark of this album is that Bob always said that he didn't try to add anything. He was basically just mixing what was there. And Rhett Davies, the producer on this, is a huge part of why this album sounds the way it does. But it's just a perfect like late night album. It's kind of one note, but in the very best possible way. It's just a mood that it casts over things, and it almost fits into like the Tangerine Dream side of things. Like it's just almost like an ambient record. But I absolutely love this album. And I guess this is my coda to our discussion. And that's to check out Avalon. That was my 10th choice.
Cool.
But, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. This was real fun. Hope you come back soon. And for our viewers and listeners at home, go check out Brockway's Vinyl Bites and go check out immersiveaudioalbum.com. See you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.